So we're going to talk about MSM, TMG, and why they're so important. MSM, in my book, is probably the third most powerful product in the world for overall health. And let's talk about that before we talk about the TMG. MSM is methylsulfonylmethane. It's a naturally occurring sulfur. Sulfur is the third most used chemical in the body. Methionine, cysteine, triazine, glutathione, lipoic acid, just to name a few. So why is that important? Well, they're the main detoxifiers of the body. So I look at it as MSM, it helps with detoxification, but it does a lot more. Everybody uses it for like arthritis and things of that nature, and they miss the understanding of what MSM does. You have a potassium sodium pump on a cell. The potassium sodium opens up the cell and allows fluid into the cell and waste material out of the cell. Great, fantastic. But why does it shrink as we get older? Why does it start trapping more mercury, lead, nickel, cadmium, pesticides, poisons in the cell, disrupting receptor sites, not allowing glucose, insulin, and other chemicals to operate properly? Because the potassium sodium pump needs a sort of like a bushing to help the potassium sodium ionic exchange to work properly. You don't have enough sulfur in your system to handle all your cells, 70 trillion or more cells. You need that ionic exchange to hydrate the cell. That's why women talk about their skin getting softer, nicer, and more voluptuous, right? It's all because the sulfur system is increasing the size of the cell, allowing more fluid and other aspects, nutrition, and removing mercury, lead, and all these other chemicals out of the body, allowing the cell to operate properly and do its job. But the other thing is, when you bond new tissue together, you could have brick on brick, or you can have a disulfonyl bond, double sulfur bond, make a hinge. That's why everybody tears ligaments and tendons and hamstrings, because they deplete themselves of sulfur by weightlifting, working out, and doing all these things. And they end up with brick on brick, which tear and demoralize the whole structure of that tissue. So you can see how MSM is so powerful. And I've been taking it for 30 years. If you're going to work out, you want to take MSM before you work out and after you work out. And at that point, you're sucking out the lactic acid that causes a thing to break apart because of the lactic acid, the cells, and take out particles and make, let's say, fractures in your cell structure. And so what you want to do is take MSM during the workout and after, and I do MSM TMG, and we'll talk about that in a second, but you put your cells back together, and that's your muscle memory because it doesn't have any cracks in it, or a majority of them have dissipated, and now you have solid muscle to move your muscle and be able to lift more weights and have less tears of not having disulfonyl bonds. So let's go to TMG, trimethylglycine. To me, TMG is probably the fourth or fifth most important thing to take. So I make a correlation between MSM and TMG in my products. What is TMG, trimethylglycine? It basically gets rid of what they call homocysteine, a major cause of cardiovascular and stroke. And TMG donates a methyl group to the TMG, allowing it to regenerate back to methionine. So you get rid of a bad, not necessarily bad, it's used for some other purposes a little bit, not much. And it gets rid of the homocysteine, regenerates it back to methionine, the number one detoxifier. So you get rid of a bad, create a good, and you free up B6, B12, and folic acid that normally in the system gets rid of the homocysteine. But those are crucial elements to the Krebs cycle for energy. So it's an amazing product, does a lot of great things. But you'll notice with MSM and the TMG, when the body loves something, it makes it not taste bad. It wants more of it. So over a period of a few weeks of taking it, you say, oh man, that's bitter, whatever. You'll notice that it goes down and down. So you can drink a lot of it. I take 2 tablespoons to 3 tablespoons a day for 30 years. And it's an amazing experience to have cells clean.